Nevertheless, we can put it to the empirical test, and we just did. And so what we're going to do is we're going to count. I'm going to go around. I'm going to ask people, all of the teachers, to give me their tallies for the verbal questions and the visual ones of, you know, which direction people were looking at. The verbal questions 1, 3, 5, and 7, and the visual 2, 4, 6, and 8. Oh, yes. So for all you teachers, for the verbal,
Nathan was like a blind person and he was just like staring forward the whole time. Because that's what he was doing.
That would to some extent undermine our demonstration. I want to hear from you how many left gazes you recorded across all of the verbal questions. If you could just sum that up, sir, do you know?
I had only right gazes.
Okay.
So that's 4.
So 4, okay, for the verbals.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. What? No. Okay. Got it. Good.
I had one left.
For 1, 3, 5, and 7.
Yeah.
How is 7 verbal?
So we had
Oh,
1,
never mind, I get it. Okay.
and 3 right.
Nathan, you was looking left on the first one.
Yeah, how
Yeah.
Fucked up.
Okay. Or,
You added 4.
because you had 4 and now had 7.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I did. I didn't count the slashes. I was slashing. I didn't count.
Oh, my bad.
So you had 3 right. Rolf, you had 3
That's
right?
right.
Or did...
He just had one left and that's it.
Okay, so that was my fear. So 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes people just stare straight ahead. How about you, Gage? What do you get for the verbal questions? 1, 3, 5, and 7.
I had 3 looks forward, just forward.
Oh, I don't care about that. How about left or right?
One right.
And that was it?
Yeah.
Right, because that's 4. Hell, I did that in my head. Allie?
I had 3 lefts and 1 right.
1, 2, C. So, okay. Emma, did you go?
No, I had 1 left and 3 rights.
Damn.
I got 2.
Damn,
I
girlfriend.
got 2 left.
Okay.
And 1 right.
Is that everybody? Jace?
Jeez.
And okay, so we got what we got here. We got 7, we got 10. I can do that.
Is that really math, or is that just like adding?
I don't know.
Simple.
How about we do the
It's
other
too
now?
simple.
Sarah?
2 right.
No, you didn't. You got all of them right. Yeah. You didn't get the answers right.
Rolf?
2 left.
Gage?
I believe I had 4 right.
Ale?
4 left.
Andrew?
4 right.
Wowzers. Is that her? Emma, sorry, I'm sorry.
3 right.
1, 2, 3. Now, that's kind of freaky, isn't it? So,
Everybody looks right.
yeah, this is an interesting little thing we got going here. Okay. So people, yeah, what are the conclusions, just based on, forgetting about the assumptions that guided our little demonstration, what are the conclusions that these numbers at least put in your mind? What are the conclusions softly suggested by the
The
pattern?
left half of your brain is utterly useless.
Well, don't even make that assumption, just
No.
about looking.
If you add them up, 7 plus 10 minus 7 plus 13, you get 23.
What else? I mean, just
People
looking.
just look right.
Okay, they just look to the right. That's about the only supportable conclusion that can be drawn from these data.
I'd like to look to my
And really, in truth, statistically speaking, there's probably not a significant difference between the number of left gazes and the number of right gazes, and therefore people just look either way without any clear-cut.
They just look.
Yeah, and also these questions, none of them are purely verbal or visual.
A problem with the demonstration. Elaborate on that if you would, Sarah.
Like, okay, some of the ones that are supposed to be verbal could also be visual, probably. I don't know.
Which one?
I don't know. I just don't think that they're necessarily just verbal and visual.
And even if the person who came up with these questions tried to come up with a purely visual or a purely verbal question, how can you know the process by which somebody is solving the problem or thinking about?
I mean, like, for example, for the verbal
Magic.
one, like, for the Mississippi, they could just be picturing the word Mississippi and counting.
That's right.
And
Or what if they had a friend named Mississippi in some weird way, picturing that friend? I don't know.
Through
Who would
magic.
ever name their child Mississippi?
I don't know.
They-
Somebody
they-
from Mississippi.
They deserve a pan on
Or
their
some
forehead.
sick bastard from Alabama just to mess them up. All right.
well, isn't it like also proven that if you use like one part of your brain like just for thinking, all the other parts have some activity? That's why it's so hard to map what's going on.
Yeah, that's true. Say it again. Andrew's going to say something. You all need to listen.
Oh wow.
Or else
Oh,
he doesn't remember what he just said.
that it's like proven, like when you hook electrodes up to your skull, that if you use one part of your brain primarily for something, there are dozens of other places in the brain that are being used at the same time. So it's not really pathed which way you're gonna take everything from, because it's pretty much all being used.
A lot of different areas of your brain are taking part or doing different things at roughly the same time. Nathan.
I noticed when I was answering some of the questions, there were different ways of coming up with the answer. Like I could just count the number of letters in philosophy. That would be very basic numbers. Or I could go through in my head and look at, put philosophy, like take an image of philosophy, psychology, set them right next to each other in my brain and see the letters.
Indeed, and that's kind of a reiteration, kind of like a mini script when I tried to say that the first time, of the points Sarah and I were making. Jade? The idea that there's no way that you can dictate by writing questions in a certain way how the people who hear them are going to go about answering them, what parts of their brain they're actually
Well, I mean, you could always give them like that really obvious clue. Picture this in your head.
You could try to bias them, yeah. Austin? All right, you're all very special people, and just remember this, even though maybe as a metaphor, left brain versus right brain is somewhat useful, it's a lot more complicated and a lot more nuanced than that. And yes, there are certain areas of specialization in your brain. I always grab my left side of my head when I'm talking, and that messes up my speech. If you press hard enough, it's like, bye, blah, 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 blah.
You're not kidding.
This is
Broca's
an area.
area
This
has
is an area of
flawed.
specialization. Broca's area, and then Wernicke's a little farther back, and you got stuff going on. Facial recognition, right side. You can tell because when people suffer damage, tragically, to parts of their brain, damage in different parts of the brain results in different characteristic deficits in function. So there's localization, but it's not just left brain verbal, right brain spatial. That's dumb. Never say that, or I'll slap you upside the
You're
head.
dumb.
On both sides of your brain.
Agreed.
You're an uneducated person.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a lovely day.
It's a lovely day in the neighborhood.
It's around there.
I'm going in the game.
Thank you, everybody.
I was trying to ask you if
What were you trying to ask me? Questions don't matter to me. Go
well,
ahead.
it's kind of what you're about.
I know.
It's weird.
I know.
When people lie, is it true that they look to a certain part of their brain, or like to a certain side?
They looked at a lion place in their brain.
What's the
Up.
lying place?
I think they do. There are certain clues that give away tension that indicate anxiety. There are
The
certain
only, the only
micro
problem with the
expressions.
anxiety
They could be
is in
searching both
situations where
sides.
you're trying to tell if somebody's lying, they're probably anxious to start with.
Good thinking.
It's like a polygraph test. Sometimes they're completely inconclusive because
Yeah, you-
on the questions that are like, is the sky blue? And they say yes, like it'll still like go, wah. Because
good point.
they'll be freaked out.
Depends.
They're
Was it
actually
blue
developing a
today?
new one where it's kind of like a CAT scan of the brain while you're taking it. And what they do is, while you take it, if a certain part ends up like, I guess, lighting up, or like a portion of the brain is like filled with, the chemicals going through it, it can actually pick it up and it can tell whether or not you're making up a lie or having to
Is
think
that
about.
so?
Yeah.
Where did you read about this?
I saw it on ABC.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
If you could find the source, that would be really
I
fun
definitely
to-
will.
Okay, thanks,
I'll
Austin.
definitely do that.
I appreciate that.
No, because I thought I was really
A few seconds left.
And scene.
And scene.